Hello, everybody. This is Matt McQueeny here with Navigate CX with Altudo, a show that will be video, audio, just the takes here from Altudo, an insider's view on the digital experience and customer experience industry that we work and thrive in. I'm here with David San Filippo, DSF, SVP of Digital Experience at Altudo. And I'm really excited to talk to him about something that's been in the lab and is ready for prime time potentially. It's a little something called FastLane. David, I'm going to hand it off to you to give us a little primer on what FastLane is.
Sure. So at Altudo, we've had accelerators for XM Cloud and other platforms for years. But looking at what's going on in the industry and what's capable today that hasn't been capable, we really wanted to go back and see how do we re-envision an accelerator in this world of AI and Figma, right? So our chief architect, who is actually Andy Cohen, who's one of the original architects of XM Cloud, is leading this initiative and just wrapping it up, the core accelerator, and we're starting to use this on projects. But the whole idea is to really take a design system-driven development approach, to actually have a design system with high fidelity in Figma that's all annotated and has all the variables so that we can use that as a starting point for basically every project. So we start on a new project that has existing designs or has existing components. We can basically start changing some of the styles in the Figma to get that Figma to look like their design system. And then we'll use AI tools like V0 to go from that Figma to code. Now, we're starting out the gate with a pre-built Figma and a pre-built component library, so we've already done the work to really connect that, so any updates are a lot more smoother to actually implement and get working. What this does is it really, the effort we need and the quality of everything we put together, because everything's kind of been pre-built and prefabricated, and then anything new components, new templates, it's just additional work on top of that. So this is able to really accelerate how we approach building sites, not only on XM Cloud and Sitecore, but we're already starting to look at how do we do this with Optimizely, how do we do this with Content Stack. So we've started kind of laying the foundation for kind of this shared development approach that we're going to use across the board. Because I always say a lot of the focus for moving to headless or moving to composable has really been on the architecture, but we've been using the same development processes we've been using for years. Right? There's so much more out there just in terms of development process and automation and AI. So this is really about taking advantage of that and modernizing our development process just as much as we're modernizing the architecture when we do these transformations.
And I think it's a way as well to take things we're learning from AI that are evolving so quickly, and a CX, a customer experience company, should meet the customer where they are. This allows you to meet more customers where they are along a continuum of needs and pain and all of that, right?
Well, it frees us up to really focus more on some of the value add. By having that foundation and having the components built the right way, with the right level of flexibility, we can then start to think about like personalization and A/B testing, and we go get to the next level. The other good thing is a lot of times in the past, traditionally, your designs were thrown over the wall, and then as soon as you go implement it, you make decisions and things get out of sync. In this way, that design system, that Figma-based approach becomes first-class citizen, right? After you launch the site, you want to make changes. You have the building blocks in your Figma. You can move a lot faster. Everything becomes a lot faster, and you're able to be a lot more agile.
And we were just talking before, accelerators, FastLane, words like that. I think one of the biggest key is not only the throwing designs over the wall to developers, it makes a more agile, collaborative approach between the teams so you can ultimately get to market a lot quicker. You've been doing this a long time. There could be projects that would take 9 months, a year sometimes to launch, when you would have to go to the drawing board, build it up all the way, and that can be fine. But we're living in a time where you really need to be in increments of 90 days and again, be very agile and have things on the market because we don't have time to wait. Marketers want to get to work. Is that a big key too, the whole get to market real quickly?
Yeah, I think we're using this FastLane approach and this development methodology on every project. I think in a lot of cases it becomes a really big barrier to starting these transformations because of the complexity, because we have to go look at how an existing site is built soup to nuts and go component by component and think through how do I move that. And oftentimes that's not the right decision to do anyway. The mistakes you made in the past, the way things are built may not be optimal, especially if you think about how it should be done in a modern composable solution. So you don't want to be taking those same mistakes and just replicating them on a new platform. We're trying to replicate them in a way that doesn't make sense for the new platform. So one of the other aspects we've been seeing and applying FastLane is this concept of a site template, right? Forget about your site. Let's look at kind of a canned site that already has a number of page templates, a component library, and let's use that as a starting point. The components have been proven. We can rebrand it. We can restyle it to what your needs are. But let's start with that and figure out what we need to add to it. And often, by taking that approach, we're going to end up at a much faster and a much more affordable approach to moving to a new platform than starting with what you have. And you end up in a better place in the end because you're ending up with something that makes more sense for that platform. Does that make sense?
It does. And one last question, because we're going to talk a lot about FastLane in the future. This seems like something that could be verticalized, where you could have a component set for specific industries, legal, healthcare, up and down the line. Is that where where you want to be headed with that?
That is 100% the intent. So we're starting out with a corporate site template, right? So your standard site in a box approach, and we're already talking on building some of these verticalized versions of it with specific customers, right? We have one customer where we're having the conversation on doing a healthcare accelerator. So we'll build things like find care, find a location, book an appointment, right into it.
Chart, things like that too? Integrations, or is it mostly what would live in
Well,
this?
the integrations, what we want to give some level of flexibility because every company is going to have different back-end systems, but we want to build the front end and we want to build the integration points. If we can do 75% of the work up front, that's savings we could pass on to our customers. So we want to take that kind of approach to doing it, but we're well known for legal and professional service. That's one we're definitely doing. We, in the past, have had a manufacturing CPG type accelerator. We're going to do that. We do a lot of commerce. We're already having conversation with our commerce team on how can we take FastLane, apply it to some of our commerce solutions, right? So this is the beginning, and we're going to do this across verticals. The other thing is we'll be having releases. So if we do something for a customer on FastLane and then 6 months later, 9 months later, we have additional components or additional capabilities, it should be pretty straightforward to give them some of that features. And we're not selling this like a product. This is an accelerator. We'll use it in our project so that we can be more competitive with our customers and deliver with better quality, but we're not doing this like a subscription, right?
Well, David, thank you. This was edifying, and we will talk a lot about this and hopefully break down a lot of these verticals as we move forward. So thanks for joining us.